Augustin. Hi, Elizabeth. Very nice to have you here. It's your first time at CppEurope. What did you think about the event?
I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure what to think beforehand because I hadn't been to this conference before. I know that our team has been trying to increase our conference attendance in general and just trying to participate more. And I think I really enjoyed it. And it was also a nice opportunity to go back to Romania to visit as well. There were quite a lot of attendees. There were some interesting talks. And it was a really nice experience.
Okay.
Yeah, I also didn't really know what to expect coming to Romania or coming to this conference, and I had a great time with both. I think the talks had a really good mix of some high-level overview stuff, some like the technical documentation talk was really interesting, and then a good mix of the more in-depth, language-heavy, more specific talks. So I think that was a good balance.
Okay, so you mentioned a few things that you found interesting in the talks. What about the content? Anything else that captured your attention specifically or was interesting? Or
I think it's always interesting to see how far the C++ language has come from what it used to be. And then there's also kind of a negative side to that where there's still a lot of work to do to get developers onto the latest standards and also for things to progress. And there's still a lot of work left to do in the standard as well to just keep making things better. So I'm optimistic about things getting better over time, and hopefully we can accelerate progress and just improve everybody's code as much as possible.
Okay.
I was really interested at the insights that we got about our own products from being here. We polled the audience quite a few times during our talk, and I was surprised. It feels like the division of developers on Linux versus on Windows who are targeting Linux or Windows was a little bit different than I was expecting. There's a lot of, it's really nice to see a bunch of Windows developers really familiar with Visual Studio, so that made our talk feel like it was really targeting the right people.
Okay, so you mentioned your talk. That's a perfect segue. What was your talk about?
So our talk was about cross-platform tools and cross-platform development and some of the things that you might run into with cross-platform development. VS Code and Visual Studio focused.
Okay.
Yeah, and we also talked a bunch about how you can use CMake for cross-platform development, how to manage dependencies with a tool like VC Package, which is also a cross-platform tool, and kind of an easy way of getting started with targeting Linux if you're on Windows with the Windows subsystem for Linux. So a couple of interesting topics. There was quite a lot of content to cover in a short time. I guess it's always a challenge trying to cover such a broad space, but we're glad that we got the chance to talk about all these different tools that people can try out.
Okay. Where can people find you? And what are you doing when you are not speaking at conferences?
Sure. So, well, you can follow me on Twitter, although I tend to disappear for a few months at a time sometimes. I will admit that. But you can also follow our updates from Microsoft on if you look up the C++ team blog on devblogs.microsoft.com. We have a C++ blog there, and you can get all our latest updates on the tools that we're working on, announcements, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, but I don't tweet that much yet. We'll see. But following the C++ blog is a really nice way to stay informed about what's going on, what are the new features, what's new in Visual Studio. And when I'm not speaking at conferences, I'm climbing mountains. What are you doing, Augustin?
Just as for fun things.
Well,
I play video games.
That's a good pastime. So, in the end, anything else you'd like to add, maybe share with people who are interested in this event but don't know exactly what's going on here?
I think it's a good event to attend to if you're interested in getting general sense of a wide variety of different topics. I was curious at first because there's not a huge number of talks, but they do cover a wide area. And it feels like a good way of getting a general sense of things. And I kind of got a good community vibe from this conference as well. When you go to a large conference, it tends to be very divided up into many different sessions happening at the same time, and it gets very confusing following everything that's going on, and you end up having to go on YouTube afterwards and watching 75% of the content anyway. But here it felt like you can follow most of it throughout the day, and you only have to catch up on a couple of YouTube videos later for the second track in the room that you weren't in. So it's not too bad, and you kind of get everything you need throughout the day.
We also got the chance to address everyone who wanted to come talk to us during the Ask the Speaker panel. I think we also had an advantage having two people to be able to address all of it, but I don't think we ran out of time for anybody, and that was really great because I could actually sit with somebody and show them code examples of the thing that they were asking about. So it was good.
Cool. So that's great. I hope to see you again soon in maybe this event or maybe another event. Have a good trip back home.
Thank you.
And see you again soon.